You all for coming. So it's 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. Before we get started, I just want to say, that tonight is Wayne's last meeting. Thank you, Wayne. Does anybody wanna?
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
Jealous.
No, thank you for everything.
denial.
Yes, we are. It takes it a minute today, but I'm in denial, yes. But we'll miss you, Wayne. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There's so many.
Thank you very much. Sound like an entertainer.
All right, so
Uh-huh.
the manifest is going around. Did anybody have any questions from the email with the manifest in it? No? Okay. All right, so then we just need a motion to approve the minutes. We have quite a bunch of minutes. We've been very busy.
I will make a
The last
motion
minute.
to approve that slate of minutes.
I'll second.
And I just want to point out, you'll see, so a couple of them were, sealed because we had a interim superintendent interview and then discussion of it. So those minutes are sealed. So, those are not included. So, all right, does anybody have any comments, corrections?
I have a couple.
Okay,
Let's see, for the non-public minutes of November 9th. On the second page, we talk about administration raise structure. Down near the bottom, there's one that's moved to approve, it's 3.15, not 3.5.
okay, A Anderson moved to approve 3.5, so it's 3.15.
3.15.
Okay,
Then on December 7th,
It's not sealed.
bear with me, I gotta find the page.
yeah, the sealed ones aren't in here, so, as they're said.
Then on the public minutes for December 7th, we talked about the safe grant. And I want to confirm those amounts, that Joe was talking about, the amount we got from the safe grants. It says 82,000 for HES and 200,000 for HMHS. Are those the correct amounts?
No.
Okay, so what are the correct amounts?
HMHS was
It's just,
like 2,600,
it was just for the additional film and
right?
2 doors.
Yeah,
So what did you, I'm sorry, what did you originally
In
have?
the minutes, it says 82,000 for HES and 200,000 for HMHS.
Wish.
Yeah.
It had to be like 2,000.
I think
yeah, I think it's,
I think it's
like-
like 2,000.
Yeah.
82 and 2.
Yeah.
So could you just fix those in the minutes?
high school and.
Elementary
Oh, yeah.
is 82 and high school too.
And then my only other. I guess it's more of a question, but, on the. I think it might have been. Same day. Hold on one second, I just want to make sure I told the same day. Yeah, okay, so same day, December 7th, public minutes, I had discussed a little bit about the town's valuation and tax rate. And there's nothing in the minutes, so if something can just be noted that I just made mention of that would be great.
I think it was near the
in
end.
the December
It was near the end.
non-public.
December 7th, public, I believe it was,
Yeah, it was in during the
Yeah.
budget work session.
and it could be something as simple as, as Larry noted. Or present information on town's valuation and tax rate. That's all it needs to be. That's all I have.
Okay, does anybody else have anything?
I just have on the first page of minutes, I can't tell if it's public or non-public, honestly, but I think it's non-public. We moved to reconvene the public session at 12:05 PM.
Oh, okay,
Shouldn't be, it should be like, I think it was 4.
it was, let's see, no, I think because I did those and I saved from the previous one where we did it in the afternoon. So let's see, it probably was 5:04, so it's probably 5:05.
5:05.
Yeah, I bet it was 5:05. Thank you.
Mhm.
November 2nd.
Yeah, November
November
2nd, the one that
2nd.
started at 3 PM. It's the first minutes. It was, the interview we had last month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, where it says Gina moved to reconvene to the public session, it's 12:05, it should be
Oh, my
5:05.
I'm so.
Oh, no, that was me. I wrote those minutes.
Oh.
I
Oh, I
wrote
feel
those
better.
minutes, yeah, because I had copied them from a previous, public interview we did, which just happened
5:05.
during the morning.
Sure.
Yeah. Right.
Thanks.
Anything else?
That's all I think so.
Maybe else have anything? All right, so then all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed or abstained? Okay. All right, citizen comments. We have no citizens in the room, a couple online. That's Donna. Okay.
Patty, do you have any comments for now?
All set, thank you.
Thank you. Donna, do you have any comments?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, board business, update on COVID items.
So, the county has gone up from about 126 to 133 in the last week. We've got we have one case, at the middle high school and 3 at the elementary school, but we're certainly in a much better place than we were at this time last year.
Okay, any questions for Wayne? All right, thank you. Superintendent search, so, we hired an interim superintendent, so, Kim Karen, he lives in Keene, currently he is a 20% superintendent of record for Surrey and Sullivan, which he's gonna continue doing, and then be 60% for us. So he is, technically, he's the interim superintendent as of July 1, but just on call for
January.
January. I did that earlier today. Oh, my goodness. Like it's fun to zoom right past the winter months. January 1st, so January 1st and 2nd, and then on the 3rd, school starts. And then the superintendent search committee, the ad's out and, starting to get some feedback. So we will meet again in January and have interviews scheduled and all that. We have dates scheduled January and February. So we'll just keep the board updated as that process goes on. All right, ESSER funded emergency class coverage option.
So we talked about this today, and we're not quite there as far as getting a proposal that's been vetted by HR and that Jody can get into. I know Karen's ready to write it in to the ESSER 3, but in fact, it's already written everything, but hasn't presented it yet. So I think we would prefer to hold that item until January, if that's okay.
Okay, so this is the one with that they could sub during their prep period. Okay. And I just want to let the board know, I was gonna look in the contract during the meeting and I didn't. I looked as soon as I got home and of course, it doesn't say anything about compensation, but there's a section under terms and conditions of employment that the principal can declare emergency situation and have teachers sub during their prep period as necessary. So the contract does provide for it. So I guess in January, then we just need to decide when you bring it back, if we had a discussion, if we want to compensate for 10 preps or 7 preps, but we can talk about that more in January once you guys bring us something. I'm not gonna look at Wayne because it's not weekend. Something.
Well, and I think, when this first got presented, we were in some dire straits. Right now, it's a bit better. I mean, we still scramble around, but we have some college students home right now. That's helpful. So we've had some additional subs in. So I think to reevaluate in January, it makes total sense.
Okay, great. Does anybody have questions? Go ahead.
So I just want to throw out something out there too, because the contract does provide for emergency situations and stuff like that. Julia will attest that we had many conversations around what constitutes an emergency. And is an emergency a one-day thing? If it's a one-day thing, yeah, it's covered by the contract. But if the emergency is elongated, we had conversations as far as let's not overuse emergency. So I think that yes, the contract does provide for emergency, but if we are going to be doing this on more than just like once in a while type of thing, that I think the compensation fits in.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think that you're correct that we need to decide between the 10 and the 7 and all that, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I would just add to that, I think my big point when we brought this up is that we're already getting more planning periods than the contract calls for. So I don't think that there's any question about whether they can use those 3 periods for no compensation, because we're already going above and beyond their contract.
Yeah, and that'll just be, we just have to make sure we iron it out and get it, yeah, down so it's clear, whatever we want to do. Any other questions about that? Okay. Substitute teaching daily schedule.
So I think we've come to the conclusion that there was no real issue. If we need a sub to work, they don't really have a prep in their, so we're not recommending that. And I think we were thinking about it early on, but now we're not.
Oh, yeah, they don't get preps, so they don't, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So that's all that one was about? Any questions about that?
I'm sorry, I forgot for clown.
Discipline data and bullying reports.
I'm gonna put that over to Chris, because Chris put together that data. And I think it's very timely, considering all that's gone on. I'll just say, particularly at the high school, middle school. So I'll turn it over to Chris. We'll give it together.
So on the back of the principal's report, you'll see the numbers that compiled comparing last year to this year by month, as well as by middle school versus high school. And I took everything I had, so it took me several days to go through. But you can see as of at least August and September, August very, very short, so I just added it in. The numbers are down, some significantly, some are trending very, very close. But you'll see that the middle school is generating more, except 1 month. No, maybe I was wrong. More discipline referrals than the high school. It's almost twice the amount. And those are the real numbers. As far as bullying, if you look at the bottom, the number is the total number of incidences throughout the entire year. Currently, we're at 1 investigation that was initiated, and it was substantiated. And what it means by a mix is it could be a high schooler and a middle schooler, it could be a student and a teacher. So it really depends on the given situation. If it's under middle school, that is directly between 2 middle schoolers. If it's under high school, it has to deal with just 2 high schoolers or more potentially. So I'll be happy to answer any questions regarding that information.
Does anybody have any questions? So I have a question. So like in October, last year, there was 132 in the middle school.
Yep.
So, and then the month before, August and September, 60. So those are like outliers of, so what was going on there? Cause like, if you look, it's like in the 70s and whatever, and then 132,
I don't know, honestly. I'd have to go back and look specifically at what each write-up is.
Was that
And-
the TikTok challenge?
I think that's
I
what a
think
lot of it was.
Yeah. Okay.
So the vandalisms and we had, I will say, more of an uptake in September, if I remember right. In October, thank you, Jody, I think that's what it was. So there were those little incidences getting dealt with. I think by the time November came around, they knew we weren't playing with those challenges because they were malicious and caused damage. And I think the word got out that knock it off. And I think that's what we saw. The other ones, which I thought it was going to be reversed, but I was actually kind of surprised for January and March. I figured we would have had a bigger uptake in February and April, but I will say February I was out for a short period of time. But I figured running around the vacations that happen, we should see an uptake like now.
Oh, yeah.
Rise. I think it's anxieties caused by being home. For some. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting seeing in October, but now that Jody mentions that, that's what it was.
Okay. Yeah, because if you like, as those are outliers, you kind of, but if you look at the rest, so it's actually, they're more on par, really, because the middle school, I mean, it was down like 7, and then the high school actually was up for October, but so in the grand scheme of all of this, we know how all the problems with discipline, and we know, things aren't getting written up, and so I guess I just wasn't sure how to actually interpret this to fit the reality that we're seeing. You know what I mean? Like, Does my question make sense?
Yeah, no,
Alright.
well, so let me just go back to that, not that I was here, it's 21, 22. October, the honeymoon's over. Right, I mean,
Mm.
typically you start to see more behaviors
Yeah,
starting to kick in, not to that extent necessarily, but, and I think that TikTok was definitely, you know, a reason why. But, so I see that piece. What was it, our last faculty meeting, we emphasized the fact that we need to make sure we have the write-ups, not just something verbal. So I mean, because Chris is pulling his data from the actual write-ups.
yeah.
So, you know, perceptions are one thing, but this is the factual stuff. And in the last 2 weeks, we have seen more write-ups.
Okay,
And
good.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, right.
So, because
Good.
we'll have better, more accurate data for you. And we'll, you know, whenever you want us to report back and, you know, 2 months, 3 months, maybe before February vacation, you know.
Right, yeah.
And then you also have to look at those months, right? February vacation is a week off. So.
Yeah, so that'll
So,
be,
you know,
yeah,
March typically is a long month because there's no vacations. It's just a long,
yeah, that's. a good
miserable
point.
month.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
one thing is I'm sitting here reading this data for January and March, I'd just like to address, that was at the time we had the uptick in COVID. And coming back off of the holidays, where there was a lot of fighting with the mask, coming back off of the February break, which is right at the end of the month, into March, fighting with the mask. And
Yeah.
then after that, I think why we saw that steep decline is because the mask mandate dropped.
Mhm.
We got.
Good point.
And I can go through and there were some days I had like 30 something write-ups just in mass.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah, and like you said, with the, not just verbally, because then there are multiple instances with certain people, then you have, you know, the backup to escalate it, you know, so I'm glad that message got across.
Yeah,
Alright.
and that attributed to part of it was just the seeing the trends, being able to go back, recall information. And is this the first warning that this kid will
Mhm.
have, or is this? Has it slipped through and all of a sudden he's had 1 or 2 or 3
Yeah,
others from the year? So that's important.
okay. Cool, and I know, Joe, you did the same
Yeah, I tried
for yours.
to do somewhat similar.
Yeah.
Might be a little confusing in the first 3 bullet points, but the first bullet refers to the referrals. Then the second bullet point refers to the number of students, so in some states, more than one.
More than one, yeah.
Those numbers are off, but, so I mean, there is like a lot of factors at play, right? Beginning of the year, the honeymoon period, like John said, and, but it is down by about a third of referrals. I think what happens, and we see it in the news, you know, I get tired of watching the news because all I hear about is shootings and death. The negative things far outweigh the positive things that are going on, and it's rare that you have to wait until the end of the 6 o'clock news to hear David Muir talk about positive things.
Mhm.
But if you turn these numbers around and report them in a positive way, you couldn't report on the number of referrals in a positive way, but you can say that almost 230 kids had no referrals in the month of September, October. So a vast majority of kids are doing what's expected of them. About half of the kids that were identified students in one way or another had referrals so far this year, so that's another positive. The bullying cases are kind of low right now, but they always tend to spike here and there. And the one that was being investigated, in my opinion, did end up being bullying, so that would be 2 substantiated and 1 unsubstantiated as I speak now. You know, you see also a lot of situations in the news about the aggressive actions with young children and having to clear the rooms, and we've had to do that 5 times. You know, but some kids are repeat on that, and you know, it has a lot to do with not being in school for the last 2 years, really, and learning what it means to be patient. Your turn needs to come. You don't get to use the red crayon. Simple things that throw little children off that don't have the ability to deal with their emotions right now. The last bullet, well, there's the recess, and to me, that's pretty developmentally appropriate. I don't feel like, that's maybe that's a learning platform for the children, is to learn how to get along with each other without having a lot of supervision and rules and let's do this and let's do that. And the minimal number of kids have had more than 4 referrals. And, so that's basically
I don't see him surprised by 2 instances of profanity.
where we're at.
2 instances of profanity. That's it.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot more. But
I'm like,
there's a lot going on that goes around under the.
Yeah, that's
Right.
That's great. I think that, I like how you started that with the positive spin, because I read this as a positive report, so.
Oh, thank you. Any questions for Joe or any question for Don or Chris?
And I do think it would be valuable to see November, December, have that prepared in January.
Yeah, I think like every couple months we should, just keep on top of it.
base.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree like what you said about how, half or 200 and whatever kids didn't have any referrals, and you've probably seen the same, I know you've seen the same thing from what you've said, that like chunk of kids are the ones that are the repeat ones, which is why it's super important for everybody, to document it. So if it escalates, then you have, look, here's the track record,
And one of the ones, I think one of our students was up to like 38 alone.
Wow.
So, and we had a couple of those types of students. So yes, you're right. It's a small pocket. They're repeat students to my office, at least last year. This year it's been a little different. Yeah.
Are there interventions to put in place for those kids?
So, what, as far as like, what protocols do we call?
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing obviously a pattern with a kid, is there something you can do to try to interact with that pattern?
So we really have a great team. I try to utilize, if there's special ed, utilize our case managers to come up with certain things that might work. We do a lot of collaboration amongst ourselves to try to figure out, okay, if John did this, I did this, and Joe did this, and none of it worked. Well, what are we trying that's going to be different?
Mhm.
We utilize guidance counselor. We utilize if it's one of the behavioral intervention type kids. We use behavioral interventionists. We use our school social worker. Parent conferences.
I was gonna say, we've invited parents in, so a variety, of things. We still have ways to go. At the faculty meeting yesterday, I talked about, we really need to define what a multi-tiered approach to discipline is. We talk about it, or I talk about it, but to actually have a multi-tiered system in place, which we're supposed to have, and more clearly defined than what it is right now.
And part of it is also following that escalation piece, and that's where the write-ups are very, very important. And John and I have tried to speak to that if if a kid is doing something and it's not documented, well, by the time it gets documented, it's the first tier, and then you get people get upset and
Yeah.
well, why hasn't anything been done?
Yeah.
Well, there's
Right.
I don't have anything.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying is then because you can't,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so things are being documented more.
You
I will say that our teachers are handling things as best to their ability at the classroom level
Okay.
until it actually needs to be escalated up.
All right, cool,
And,
thanks.
and we're even getting just documentation that wouldn't necessarily be referral. But again, it's an email and it's something that we have of the type of behavior that really doesn't fit
Right,
anywhere, but if that is a continued type of behavior, now we have again. Documentation
Yeah.
and on this date, your son or daughter did this,
right,
here's how we responded, and we're still gonna meet with the student, what's going on, so.
yeah, great,
Yeah, good.
thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. All right, 23-24 proposed budget draft. Jody.
So, you have, I put 2 packages in front of you, one with the, selectmen's press release, and the other one was the information on the budget. So you've got a new budget draft 4 and a, spreadsheet that outlined what the changes are in that budget. So we are now at, 14,689,845.20, which represents, it's a $525,000 $598.20 increase over the prior year, which is 3.71%. The other thing that you, and the second page is the detail on what was cut and or added after our discussion. Last time we met, you asked me to get some detail on the HR budget. And Sarah handed this to me yesterday on her way out, so I didn't get a chance to talk to her. But you'll see, this is her spreadsheet on the SHRM annual conference. She's anticipating 5745, and then additional conferences and trainings, 1,255. And she's explaining those, so.
I made my point, I think, clear last week. I don't think the annual meeting is necessary this week. I'd rather she concentrate on getting her certificate. I also don't understand why she's got $900 in flights plus $1,100 in mileage. Where is she flying out of? That's crazy. But anyway, my opinion, the national conference, especially when we're going to be facing a fairly.
But I did look up the national conference, and it's in Las Vegas in June.
Personally, my personal opinion, it's not necessary. There's other training she can go to locally, and we talked about getting her certificate, so.
Yeah, there's the second paragraph from the bottom talks about a Granite State one, so that's like a,
Right.
looks like it's a state one, yeah.
Which I also looked up and was in Manchester last year.
All right, so what are your thoughts on that? Cause
I have to agree with Julia, this seems like a lot of money.
Yeah.
For a national conference, and I don't understand. $900 in flights or $1,100 in mileage either, doesn't make any sense.
I just, Gina, you weren't here last week,
No.
right? You know, we talked about, this came up right after we talked about elementary school not having any funds for field trips.
Right.
So he said, we're not saying, we're taking field trips out of the budget for elementary school, but putting $6,000 for a national conference into our new shared HR specialist.
Yep.
Nothing personal against her, it just seems like
No.
an expense that I couldn't justify.
thoughts? Sean,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with this, the local one, that's,
Right.
you know. Sure.
That's my opinion. I think the New Hampshire one for her will be good to go to because we're in New Hampshire. And I mean, it sounds like so 1255 for the training,
I think that
other
includes,
locals.
that includes the $700.
That's with the $700.
That's how I'm interpreting it,
Okay.
yes.
Okay,
Because she had 7,000 and the 5745 and the 1255 is 7,000, so.
okay.
Yeah.
So if we gave her the $1,000 she took out because of the licensing, she was gonna do that a different year, then it would basically be 23. Right?
1255. Right?
Well, it's
Well,
1255, but if we give her back the $1,000 for her, the license she wants to get that
To
she's
get her
gonna put off.
for the
that's what
certificate.
that she deducted it by 1,000 last time we got a change in the in her budget. And that was what she said she was gonna do. So if you gave her 25 for her, this part of the
Training and
budget,
license.
right,
So to do the.
That should
license and the
cover-
local Training,
right.
Instead of 7.
yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah,
Is that?
Yeah, I
okay.
mean, it's entirely up to you.
Math-wise.
If you want- Yeah, the math works.
yeah, the math,
Math
yeah,
works.
that was math, yeah.
As long as the $700 is included in that 1255.
It is, it is.
Then I would be good with giving her 25 in that line item
So,
personally.
okay.
I don't know what everybody else thinks, but.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, like Julia said, you know, nothing against
No,
her. I mean,
no.
everybody's cutting and,
Right.
yeah, we aren't funding field trips, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, the national conference maybe could wait until things improve a little bit, or maybe there's
Maybe.
something online, who knows what you know, what else you could
I
find.
think we're with a 1255 personally, but. Brand new position that hasn't even been here a full year, I think, and I think she deserves training, but again, we're facing a. Pretty tough constituency this year
year,
with
yeah.
all the news that's coming out. And
Well, I don't know if the licensing would be in this line item anyway.
Well, it
so-
was taken out,
We
so.
took
We
it
took it out, I don't,
Yeah,
personally, I think just the training, personally, in my opinion, but.
yeah.
I don't
agree
know,
with
I don't know
Julia.
what's involved in the certification, so.
Well, she said she would put it on, when we said we wanted to see a reduction, that was her, first come
Right,
back with it. So I agree with Julia, if she was gonna put it off, she could still
If
put
she
it,
was okay to put it off before
For-
she was going to this, I think
yeah.
we still need to put it off.
still put it off and just do the 12:55. Cause we do have other stuff to talk about in here that's gonna be, you know what I mean? So I think, yeah, I do, Julia, news coming down the pike and different stuff happening that,
I'm okay with that.
what do you think, Sean?
I agree with what you guys are saying.
Okay, just wanna make sure we all. Wait. All right, so I don't know, yeah, if.
We
This
have to make a
because-
motion or is
I
it
don't
just
think
something
so.
that happens?
I think Jody just has to adjust it in the budget so she can give us a new amount.
right, so will drop the budget by $5,745.
Right. 5,745.
Yeah, the total for her annual
For-
conference.
And what should the new total then?
For
Of the
the
new,
for the total budget,
Oh,
yeah,
total
and the
budget.
amount of the difference, cause. Just give it to us all, cause we're gonna need it when
It was
we.
7,000
vote to
minus
approve.
this. Right.
5745, then that deduct from the budget figure.
okay, the new total is gonna be $14,684,100.20.
Say it one more time, Jody, sorry.
Sure. $14,684,100.20.
And what does that change the percent to? Just because we wanna know when we make the motion to pass it on, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I could do the math, but other people have the calculator out, so.
Give me a second, cause I got it.
And I'm not good at percentages. So it would take me longer. I'll admit it on camera. I'm not good at percentages. I always go the wrong way and then.
It's a 3.7% increase, so it doesn't move the needle much.
Every little bit. Helps. A little bit, every little bit helps. And obviously, please, convey to Sarah the discussion and the
Sure, I
thoughts
sure will.
behind it.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions for Jody on the budget? Right, so then we just need a motion to, I should have looked this up from last year, how the motion was made, but to pass it along to the budget committee, so. I guess to pass along version,
It will be version number 5.
number 5, because you'll put in
Right.
this, yeah, version number 5, which includes that change, so it's 14,684,120 to move it along to the budget committee, so somebody want to make that motion,
I'll
or
make
however
that
you want to
motion.
word it, you don't have to go with my wording.
I like, ditto.
Need a second? Are you
Second.
okay? Your face says, maybe not. Did you have any more questions? Okay, I didn't think so. Okay, so, April made the motion, Gina seconded, more discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
No.
but you don't have any discussion? Okay,
Not this time.
all right, and no abstentions. All right, so we will, the budget committee will, Jody can make those changes and have that version for the budget committee and, I don't know if April or Jody, whoever is in charge of getting word out to them to come and pick stuff up.
Yeah. April's already been in communication. They're gonna come in the early afternoon tomorrow to pick everything up.
Yeah, we saw them all.
I'll just-
Yeah, they're all laid out. I just
Send
gotta
a
update.
reminder too,
I just gotta update.
that they'll be ready.
Alex said that he thought that Dennis was coming to pick up everybody's.
Oh, okay. So, the other piece of business along with that is, so we historically will meet with the budget committee then, in the first week of January. I don't know, usually it doesn't go into the second week because we have the board meeting and stuff, but typically it's the first week of January, we'll meet with them, Monday, school's closed, so I don't know if we want to throw out some dates and April can check with them to see what's good for them, but it's the administration, just like our regular work sessions, but then also with the budget committee, so it's the budget committee, the administration and the school board, and they'll just grill everybody and ask questions.
I mean, just Wednesday and Thursday work for everybody, Wednesday or Thursday?
The
We're
first week of
talking about
January.
the
Yeah.
fourth or fifth.
Fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
I'm not available all that week and probably not the next. I'll try
Right.
to meet the board meeting on the 11th, but
Okay, and there'll be a Zoom option if you can, but if you can't, we'll
yeah, I'll
keep
be
you
in
apprised.
Connecticut for 5 weeks in January.
Okay,
I'm not available on the fourth.
not on the fourth. What about, well, the third is Kim's first day of work, so.
Third is the day after the holiday.
Oh,
Right,
yeah,
I don't
oh,
wanna
that's gonna
do
be
it the
awkward. Yeah, you're
third.
right, day after the holiday.
That's what I was saying, Wednesday or
Yeah.
Thursday, maybe.
So you said Wednesday's not good for you, Sean? So then
Thursday's
Thursday,
fine.
Thursday's good for me. And what about
Does it
you
work
guys?
for you guys?
Just,
I have a scheduled day off for that Friday and I'll be leaving Thursday night, so I won't be able to attend.
okay. What about you guys for right now? Sounds good?
Yep.
Okay. All right,
I was gonna
so.
say, Wayne, you available, but no.
Yeah, did you talk to Kim?
Yeah, so he is available that week.
Okay.
He does have board meetings on the second Wednesday and the third Wednesday. So if there was
He has two, because of the two different
Right.
districts.
Sullivan Wednesday of the
Oh,
second.
so we're gonna have to change our board meeting.
So
from the second
he's
one.
available on
Yeah,
Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, those days.
okay, so for the budget
Budget.
work session, so let's just
So
say
Thursday,
Thursday, yeah,
Thursday.
yeah. And don't, yeah,
So-
so
Can I just ask what time do you think it's gonna be?
6 o'clock,
6, okay.
because that's when they always meet,
Okay.
so.
And-
it would
and-
probably be
yeah, and
the
I
most
know
convenient time.
I can't get here too much, before, because I'm done at 5.
Okay.
So yeah, so I guess.
So
we could-
Wednesday is better for me, but I,
Well, I mean, we need you,
right.
so we also need a quorum. And Wednesday Sean can't, can you Zoom? No, you can't even Zoom in you maybe. Oh, okay.
I mean, I might be a minute or two late.
Oh, well, I mean, we could start
That's
6:15.
fine. Yeah, we could do
6:15
later
would be
later.
much better
Yeah,
for me,
okay, yeah.
but I hate to have to do that late for everybody, but.
No, that's fine.
6:15 doesn't.
No, that's
yeah.
not too bad. We used to,
Yeah.
board meetings used to be 6:15, so,
Okay.
yeah, okay. So Thursday, the 5th, that's 6:15. Do we want to talk about, I mean, it's not budget, so maybe we'll move it down to other business, or we could talk
Other
about Kim.
business or-
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, that's the day.
I'll put that down
Put it
here.
as
Thursday.
business.
All right, let me stick it in here, hold on. And schedule. All right, so, all right, Jody. I know there's, we have a few other things here, so,
Okay.
do you want to do about this, the press release, the thing next?
It's entirely up to you, whatever you'd like to do.
I mean, yeah, we need to just talk about it, and I know you had a good explanation, so everybody, I sent you, the selectmen put out a press release about the tax rate. And one of the things in there, and I don't have it printed off here, but, they were talking about increased school spending, they took, and Jody will explain like how the numbers shook out, because I was confused when I first read it. I went to the MS 27 from last year, because they're saying about how the schools, increased from the school taxable amount to be raised from taxes went from 6.8 million to 7.9, and those weren't any numbers that sounded familiar to me. So I looked up the MS 27, and the amount to be raised by local taxes on the MS 27 last year, from 21-22 was 7.3 million, and it increased to 7.6 for 22-23. And that was a 4.3% increase, and that's the budget plus all the warrant articles. But in their, press release, they talk about a different number. So Jody actually pulled up, and she was able to figure out where they got their numbers from. And they had said on here, it's a 15% increase in school spending. So a 15% increase in school spending, which, I mean, right away, we were like, looked at that, I was like, what? No, we didn't approve that. So it is not actually an increase in spending. There was an increase between the previous year tax bill and this current tax bill that came out, the tax rate and the current tax rate, and Jody can explain that. But is not an increase in spending. Our actual spending was, that we approved was 4.3%, and actually with spending this year, because we're not spending as much, we have several lines that are down this year, what we're doing right now, it's gonna be less than 4.3 actual increase in spending. So Jody can explain where the numbers came from, that they used.
So this is one of those things with the state that is utterly confusing. And if I gave you the tax breakdowns for last year and this year, and if you have these in front of you, and it might be a little bit easier to follow along, and you'll excuse me if I read from this because it is confusing, but last year, our budgeted amount to be raised from taxes, as Holly just said, was, so if you write this down on the 2021, was $7,359,333. $7,359,333. Okay, but what appeared on our tax bill is $6,893,550. And that is due to revenue. We had an increased amount of estimated revenue when we did the MS-24. So it's not like we spent only 6.8 million, only 6 point, here, I guess it's closer to 6.9 million.
Yeah.
We had a budget of 7.3. It was in estimated revenues. Okay, so this year, the budget amount to be raised, as Holly just said, from the MS-27 and what to voters last year was $7,677,559. So 7,677,559, which was, I believe, a 4.3% increase. Okay. So if all you're looking at is the tax rate, it does look like our budget went up significantly, but it's not really true. We are not spending more money this year, and we didn't spend that much less last year. It's due to the estimated revenues. That's what's driving the change we see on the tax bill. When crafting the MS-24R this year, which I do to provide the revised estimated, I tried to be conservative. I looked to see what we were really going to get in. I lowered the revenue from food service. We're not selling lunches. The kids aren't buying lunches. Our lunch counts are down incredibly this year. Abbey Group's been laying people off. I know they're hard pressed. So I lowered our estimated revenue from food service. I also lowered a small amount, our revenue from grants, just a small amount, $100,000. That impacted what you see on the tax bill. So while I was able to change the estimated revenues, I wasn't able to change the estimated expenses. But clearly, if we're selling less lunch, there's less lunch expense associated with it. Right? If we get less income from revenues, we're not from grants, we're not spending that money to get reimbursed for. So the expenses are going to come down. So I believe that my inexperience in understanding, and I'm going to read this, the impact of the MS-24 on the tax bill certainly played a part in this problem. I don't think there's any denying that. The lowered expenses don't show on the tax bill, just the impact of the lower revenue. I believe this is going to result in a higher unassigned fund balance at the end of the year.
That's really my question. So we'll have more money then.
We'll have more money going back at the end of this
But we've
year.
already got this nice negative.
We
out there.
well,
Yeah,
So, I mean, I don't think there's anything we can do about it.
I mean, we could, if you'd like, we could, if you want, Jody and I, we could write a letter explaining this to the selectmen, that, okay, your press release, the part about increased spending is erroneous, because we aren't spending it, but we just couldn't show that, you know what I mean?
I mean,
So as far as this piece, this negative press piece that is, somewhat, there are some errors in there. We could, like write something like Jody had written an email today to me explaining it, and get that out there.
Well, to me, the biggest punch is there. This means it's a 15% increase in school spending.
Yeah, which is
for
not
the-
accurate.
But it's not.
Right.
It's not accurate.
I don't know how you would get that word out without coming across as a,
Right, and that's the thing, it's like,
Great
we take the high road.
I,
You know what I mean?
I mean, I totally read this today and I was like, well, that's not right. We gotta put out our own press. And then I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Our biggest complaint, or my personal biggest complaint is, to me, this is so petty. This is covering up the fact that we gave ourselves a 9+% raise this year, which also increased our expenses. So we're gonna point everybody's.
You
gonna-
mean, wait, you mean,
The
we as in the town.
The
not us.
town,
Thank
right,
you.
that's what I mean, it's
Yeah.
selectmen's, no, the town,
Yeah.
so. This tax rate just became public.
Mhm.
There's gonna be a lot of screaming, the select board take the initial brunt of that, obviously, because they set the rate. So to me personally, and I'm sure this will get out that I said that, but I don't really care. This is an extremely immature reaction to a knee-jerk panic that people are gonna freak out about the tax rate. And this is a finger pointing tactic that I would like to believe that we are above.
So just when people ask us about, it, we just explain.
Right,
Like
I
as
think we
Jody-
need to have a very, very well articulated explanation prepared for town meeting. I think the question is gonna come up. I think we should very much so make sure that we have the same story that we're all telling.
Yeah, we
Uh,
understand how it all fits
Right,
together.
I think
Yeah.
when we're approached, any of us are approached, whether it be on social media or in person or by the phone. I think we need to have a party line that's well prepared and intelligent. And I think that's all we say about it.
Okay.
And I think we need to be very prepared at town meeting, which I'm really trying hard to be on
I know
vacation
you-
for again. But I think the higher
Yeah.
road is always the more challenging, but the best road to be
Yeah.
on.
Well, and even before town meeting, so even for our budget work sessions and whatever, so Jody had, like I said, sent an email today explaining it, because she and I were talking back and forth, when this happened. And when I saw this, and so we can work on something that for all of us to talk, you know what I mean, so we understand. I mean, not that we're like getting our story straight or anything, it's just so we all it's a complex issue.
It's a
And just-
complex
yeah, so
issue
we all
and it's not a
understand it.
story straight. I do
Yeah.
think that presenting a united front and
Absolutely.
having a party line that everybody sticks to is critical. We can't have some administrators, school board, especially school board members saying one thing and others saying another,
Yeah.
because then that erodes our higher road.
Yeah,
So I think we need to be very well prepared to all present the same story.
absolutely, I agree, yeah. Yeah, I mean, my biggest issue was the part about 15% increase in school spending when that isn't it at all. And I mean, people know that, that's like you said, you looked at it and went, well, that's not right. Nobody approved 15% increase in spending, which, I mean, if somebody would have just called Jody and said, can you explain this? It would have maybe changed how some things were worded in here, because that was clearly erroneous, but
This was a planned preemptive attack to deflect some
yeah.
what could be perhaps uncomfortable conversations for the selectmen.
Yeah, so Jody and I can work on something for everybody that's gonna be easy to understand and put all the pieces together. I just want to remind you too, with social media, because it a couple years ago blew up a lot on social media with the budget and some of the groups that, we don't respond on social media, except for like the budget rep or the chair, who I think was how we did it a couple years ago. It's been a few
I
years
don't
since we've
think
had.
anybody should make any social media.
Exactly,
responses.
that was gonna be my question. That year we did it because there was a whole lot, but yeah, I agree, and it will hold a budget forum and get stuff out, through our budget forum and. When did we do that last year? Was it February? Was it before the budget hearing? Might have been January. I don't
I don't
remember. I'd have to-
And I
No,
don't
it was
think we
after
should-
the
was
budget
after.
hearing.
Was it after?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
Oh,
the
you're
budget
right,
hearing
because
is where
then-
the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then we got the final numbers. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, and unfortunately, I cannot be there that first week of January because I'd be happy to be there and help articulate our stance on this, but that is a week that I have a project that we've been working on for a year and a half is kicking off. on
oh,
the
no,
third, So,
absolutely, yeah.
but yeah, the social media piece, I feel very strongly about. I don't think we should use any social media messaging either.
Yeah,
I know people reach out not necessarily to me, but other people have mentioned that, Facebook messages and that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're fighting fire to use any social media platform. This is the same thing I felt about the phones in school. I think you just really don't understand how something so innocuous can really backfire.
Yeah, I mean, I know myself, I don't reply to social, to Facebook messages, and Community Connections is a one-way.
Right,
April and I
exactly.
turn off the comments, like, the second we post something, so it's a one-way thing. One other thing I wanted to say, and then I just quickly, and I'll ask, see if anybody has any questions. They mentioned about, in here about the unassigned fund balance, that, they used every available dollar to lower the tax rate. So, and I don't know what their total number was that they used, and I know it all goes into one account. So every time we say the school contributed, in this case, $238,874.47 to, from the unassigned fund balance to lower taxes. Whenever we say that, the answer is always, well, actually the town pays it because it goes into an account with the town. But it wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the school getting increased revenue and chasing grants like crazy. And, really cutting corners when we need to during the year. So that 238,874.47 wouldn't have been there to lower the tax rate if it wasn't for the school. So, that's just another piece of it, because they mentioned that they used every available dollar, but $250,000 of it came from us.
I also want to point out, in terms of decreased revenue, that if you look at the tax rate breakdown, last year for state education, we received $504,597. That's the swept tax that we get. That rate is set by the state. So it was 504 last year. This year it's 329. So there's another 170 that we're not getting. So.
Yeah, and a couple of weeks ago, either Jay Kahn or Andrew Valinsky posted a good article about that. So I'll try and remember to look for that. That explained some stuff about this issue with the swept tax being reduced by so much. I can't remember who it was that posted it, but what one of those guys did. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Julia, for your comments. Very clear. Yeah, why not? I'm going down the line. Go ahead.
So how much did you reduce revenues? What's the number we're talking about?
$179,154.
Can you say that again?
179,154.
Because it's also a combination of that, but also the swept played into it.
The swept plays
Okay,
into it.
swept
for sure.
played into it for sure.
Absolutely.
And what was the reduction of scrap from the year before? That was like 150 something.
Let me do the math for you. Hang on.
About 100,000. It looks like maybe 90. Oh, no, wait, actually, never mind. Never mind. No, it's 504. I'm looking at
Yeah,
the second
175, 160.
175. Oh, he's calculating. Do you wanna share your calculation? Or no? Are you calculating the tax rate? How much on the tax rate?
It doesn't, so the press release is basically saying that they could have reduced we could have reduced the tax rate more if we hadn't done whatever, all the stuff that we did, but that number doesn't add up. It doesn't add up to because like I said, I was saying last week or whatever, last time we were here, the assessor was estimating, that we'd be around, a 25-ish dollar tax rate, right? So, down from a 32, so $7 decrease is what the assessor was expecting. So then they came out with the 28.31, and then at some point they changed it again to 27.96. But the difference doesn't add up with this. There's something else. There's another piece to that.
Absolutely.
Like this is a piece to the puzzle.
But doesn't
right?
involve us potentially.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want, I'm not gonna, you know, what,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna point things.
yeah, no.
That's not what I'm
Well,
gonna
no,
do.
but I mean, unless
But what
there's
I'm-
more of us that we aren't figuring in. right
But what
now,
I'm,
yeah.
what I'm saying is that the total amount of what they're saying is from us doesn't add up to those two numbers.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? They would almost, that's like. It's like a third,
Mhm.
you know, maybe a little bit more, but there's
there's more to it.
there's another
Obviously,
piece there
Yeah,
somewhere. There's another piece somewhere. And I don't think I want to say much more than that.
no, that was valuable though, to know,
Yeah.
that, yeah. I'm sure we'll be discussing this more as budget goes on. This is gonna, yeah. Any other questions? Sheena or? Ed? Okay, so Jody and I will work on, putting this into a clear, concise, like I said, Jody's already 3/4 of the way there with her explanation.
And we'll all see it and have opportunity for input reports.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I mean, it's nothing that's gonna go out in public, it's just that we say, yeah, but
Just
absolutely,
going out to us.
to us, so we can.
Yeah, but we'll all
us.
have,
Oh, absolutely, yeah, we can circulate as a draft document and then, yep.
Mm.
I know, budget is the funnest time of the year.
some, you know. I go back and forth with just wanting to shut up. I'm just remembering, one of the first board meetings that I attended as out there thinking about running for the board. And I remember, a selectman rep being there at the time who was, when it was time for public comment, who was very upset. He was very upset that, during a budget meeting, the school board rep voted against something the town wanted. And I believe it was something with the police department or fire department or something, whatever, I think it was a truck or a car. And, during the course of that conversation, that selectman's rep, he said over and over and over again how historically, the town and the school supported each other and tried to back each other up or whatever. And then, and as it had turned out, that school board rep had voted their own opinion versus the opinion of the board. And as most of us know, when we're out in a committee, representing the board, we speak with the board's voice, not with our own opinion. We speak with the voice of the board. And, since then, and again, then I joined the board and got on and all that. And since then, there were, so many conversations about, the select board and the school board, support each other and everything else. And I think it's just a shame that was thrown in the trash heap.
Yeah.
Because that's done.
Oh, it's very clear with this.
Yep.
Yeah, very
And I
clear.
think that's just a shame.
Yeah.
And that's what I can't, that's the hard part that I have with this. Is
Oh,
that-
great.
That's hard.
No, because it's true.
Oh,
That
well-
was the, how, we all understood each other's thing and we worked together and.
They were gonna put something out in the public that very, very specifically spoke about school board matters. If there was a mutual relationship that was beneficial to both parties, the school board would have had this information before they put it out as a press release.
Yes.
We
yes.
could have had this conversation and made these corrections and had this discussion with them before it was made public.
Exactly, and that didn't happen.
And that would have been a much better route for everybody.
Yeah, it wasn't until it was made public and we could have cleared up some of the things that are
Right.
not quite accurate in here. Yeah, agreed. Thank you, Sean,
And now I will absolutely shut up for this.
For now.
for that, right?
For now, for
Okay.
this, for a minute.
All right. All right, thank you all. And Jody and I will get that out, before Christmas. Absolutely, we can get that before Christmas. Yep. All right. All right, student board member.
Poor Connor.
I know,
He's like, what did I say?
I mean, that was interesting, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Good number talk.
Yeah. money makes the world go round.
Yes. As student representative, there have been no formal proposals or motions or any ideas from the greater student body. So don't really have much to report on aside from everyone's excited for Christmas vacation.
So, because we get a little reprieve, while you guys are all on break, we don't have any
I know.
meetings. Well, we don't have any school board meetings. Yeah, we have our other
I've
stuff.
just signed up for too much stuff.
Yes, true. Any questions for Connor?
Thanks again for being here.
Yeah,
Thank you. All right, well, and this will go fast. So, I asked Maria, since it's December and, we just kind of want to have a quicker meeting. I asked her not to put any first readings on. So you'll notice we only have final readings of policies, so. I just need a motion to accept that group of policies as a final reading.
I will make a motion to accept policies BBB, EFGA, EBB, and EBBD. Yep, as final readings.
Second.
All right, any questions or discussion? On DFGA crowdfunding, the language that you guys, I assume all through worked on and inserted, I think that sounds good. So thank you very much. I think that clears it up. Right, so if there's no other discussion, all those in favor of approving those as a final reading, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstain? Okay, great. All right, other business, does anybody have any other business?
I think we're gonna talk about Kim and. school board meeting?
Yep, I have two things for other business. All right, so the first thing we can talk about is, so Kim, as we said, is also 20% superintendent at Surrey and Sullivan. And as Wayne just shared, his meetings there are the second and third, you said, right?
And the third Wednesday.
Second and third Wednesday. So and I know we briefly talked about this when we met with him, we were gonna talk about it at our December meeting. So he's 60% with us, 20% with them, but I know personally, my thought is that, they had him first. So for this 6 months, what do you guys feel about us moving our board meetings to a different night to accommodate, his already, what his schedule already is? I know budget, well, it doesn't matter actually. Budget committee is the third Wednesday, but he's also busy on the third Wednesday. So,
I would love it not Wednesday,
okay.
because all the meetings are on Wednesdays.
Yes, yeah, we tried to do, I think years, like eons ago,
Look at this,
right?
Thursday, I've had nothing on Thursdays.
Yeah,
Thursday's completely.
eons ago, they tried to do that, I think, everything school board related was always on
Always on
Wednesday, yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw out Tuesday, second Tuesday, you have planning board, right?
Third Tuesday.
Third Tuesday, you have planning board. I don't know, do we want to do a third day? Some boards meet on Mondays, I personally
do
don't like
Monday,
that,
no.
but, okay, good, because I don't like that either.
Thursday seems. to
Tuesday,
work.
Thursday is fine, I just can't do the.
It's just
10th.
for the
We
rest of
already
this year, right?
Just for the
Yeah.
second half of the school year, then, we'll see what happens, what
Yeah,
we
I
get.
mean, Thursdays are good for me.
Do we think Thursdays?
I prefer Thursday, but
Okay, what do you think, Julia? What's your opinion?
I'm fine, I'm probably not gonna be here for the January meeting anyway, be my guess, but
Okay.
anything's fine with me, I will just have to be flexible. Whether I Zoom or not.
Okay. My only thought looking at the calendar is, I guess, too, we have to see, will he want to be out 2 nights in a row? Because if we do the second and third, that's 2 nights in a row for him. But we don't want to make it we can't make it the first Thursday because we just scheduled our
Mhm.
budget work session for the first Thursday. So,
So I do think he's trying to schedule his work week to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, if that
okay,
impacts it, but
okay,
I'm
yeah.
sure he's
that-
flexible,
That would,
so-
that would impact it, but
I mean,
unless
It's
he,
only 1 week.
unless he wants that
Right,
1
I'm
week
sure
to
he's
make it a
flexible, yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
I think we should just keep it the second week and make it, just move it to Thursday. is
So
my
that like
opinion.
this, and that way we'll remember the second week, yeah, because I think
Right.
it'll be hard for me personally to move it to a different week.
Yeah,
of the
different
month.
week, I can't do the third. Wednesday, well, that would be Wednesday, I don't care what.
Yeah, he can't do the third
If it's a
Wednesday.
Thursday, I can do any week.
Okay, so for right now, and Wayne or I can touch base with him tomorrow, and see tentatively the 12th, or going forward then, I guess, so the 12th in January, but the second Thursday.
Yep.
And then, we'll see what he says, and if we need to do like a call around.
Yep.
And come up with something different for January. Okay, so let me write that down. All right, so second Thursday. How does that work for all the admins? Says you guys would have to be here. Okay.
1 night a week, but
Oh, no, Maria,
no.
okay, hold on, no, 'cause Maria's
Yeah.
very important.
Other group can do it, fine.
So you can or can't? Cause you're very important, Maria. Cause we can't take the minutes like you can.
I think if Kim is asked to make his work week Monday through Wednesday, I think it's most respectful to try to stay within those parameters.
Tuesdays.
Tuesday's
Yeah.
fine,
Personally,
I just can't do it in January, I already have a meeting in January on that Tuesday.
Okay, so, all right,
Do I?
well, then and you're not available that first
No.
week of January.
have a
There's-
quorum.
I'm probably, I
Not
can't count on me much first, so I
Okay.
mean, I will certainly try, that first Tuesday is the third, I mean, that's
Yeah, I don't know about the, yeah,
the day after going back. from the-
yeah, I don't
Yeah, I
think,
can't do
no.
it.
I don't think.
I
so.
wanna get everybody,
Okay, so
deal with the kids after being out a week and a half.
Yeah.
That is Tuesday, nice.
Tuesday, the 10th.
I've
No.
got, so I've got planning board on the 17th, and I've got a planning board meeting with legal representation on the 10th.
So how about this? How about, I understand if he wants to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as a schedule, but for January,
January.
I'll talk to him just about doing the 12th as the meeting January. Because it seems like
Right.
January would be rough, so that
Right.
Tuesdays in January aren't gonna work.
Right.
And we don't wanna wait until like the 4th, you know, we
Right.
wanna have it
No, no, no.
earlier.
See, if we could just do the January, and now I have notice, I can make Tuesday, February, March, April, May, whatever, work.
Alright, so January,
January, I just already have a meeting.
okay, so January the 12th, and then going
Oh,
forward.
that's right, you had the same meeting.
And then going forward.
Yep.
Which Tuesday? We can't do the 3rd because that's planning.
But I don't
Be the
care,
seventh.
Second Tuesday. is fine.
second Tuesday.
Second
is fine.
Tuesday.
Which would be the 14th.
Oh, Valentine's.
Oh, there's Valentine's Day.
I can't think of a better group.
Now, Maria, I didn't catch, so Thursday's that 12th, and if you can't be here for the 12th, we can get some other minutes if you can't be here on the 12th, that's fine.
I will try to make that
I'm
work.
just saying.
but I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, but I will try to make that one work so that we don't.
And if you can't, we'll figure it out. That's fine. Yeah, just let me know and we'll find somebody. Okay, so I will. I know Wayne's off tomorrow, so I can get in touch with Kim, just make.
I already texted him, I already emailed him,
Oh, like right now?
yeah, the
Oh,
12th.
there you go. Well, yes, and
I
you know,
asked him if it worked,
if
but
it
he already told me the day it would, so
okay,
something's happened in the last 5 hours.
okay, thank you, Wayne.
Okay, so the 12th.
Yep, so January 12th is our next board meeting and then,
We'll figure it out from there.
yeah, the change to follow. Okay, and then the only other thing I had for other business is, so more than a couple weeks ago, earlier last month, I think it was, yeah, November, Wayne and I were talking, about, so the code of conduct is missing some stuff that really needs to be in there in light of some behaviors that we're all aware of, and you guys even more aware of what we're aware of what's going on, and so it's missing some stuff, and I did some research and I noticed policy JIC, student conduct, which is brought to us, I think maybe every year, maybe not quite. There's a part buried in there that says, that the board will approve the code of conduct annually, either on its own or with their approval of the student handbook. And, you know, we're all, I mean, we missed the boat here. We kind of let it slip but you know, we are all volunteers and the policies that are brought to us is what we, you know, deal with when it's brought to us. So the code of conduct, I went back and looked through several years of minutes and agendas, and the code of conduct has not been approved annually, and neither has the handbook. We had a handbook discussion about whether or not to print it or put it on the website this year, and the code of conduct, the last time we talked about that was back in October of 2020. We had a lengthy discussion, and some of the administration brought some language to us to add a piece about remote learning, and like the whole thing with where parents, were watching teachers teach and kids videoing teachers, which is even happening in the classrooms right now. It's not remote learning, but anyway, and putting it out there. So we had a code of conduct piece around that we added, which actually we thought we added it, but it looks like it was never actually added to the code of conduct because it's not in there. We voted to add it. We approved it, but it's not in there. So I propose that we bring the code of conduct, and I have student handbook. I don't know if we necessarily have to do the student handbook, that was mentioned in the policy just as if you approve the student handbook, because the code of conduct is in the student handbook. So we could have the code of conduct brought on the January agenda and take a look at it. And I know you guys probably have feedback after our discussions, you know, recently in non-public of some things that really need to be in there. So what do you think about that?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Okay, and Maria, if you could put that for January to bring the code of conduct, and you know, if you need help locating it, because I don't think it's an actual policy in the book or anything, but so I'll help you out with that. Because I found it. So that's all I have. Does anybody else have anything for other business? No?
I
No,
don't think so.
no, okay. All right, so Jody, you again, financial report.
Madam Chair, you have my report. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to respond.
Does anybody have any questions for Jody?
I had one that, maybe it's been answered before, and I missed it, or maybe it's just a line change, but on page 3.
Of the budget,
The financial report. Yes. There's, substitute sped in elementary. That's gone up
Elementary.
by-
is that the teacher, the para, or
It's the substitute sped teacher,
substitute sped teacher at the elementary?
yeah,
Yeah, 4,000%.
4,000%.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Can have enough
And
stand
I
down.
don't know if it's been answered before, but that was really,
I think it was just greater than
need.
anticipated. Yeah, yeah.
it just seemed like a whole lot.
Yeah, I can get back to you with more details if you like.
Please, thank you.
Anybody else have questions for Jody?
Would you like me to get back to you before the next meeting, or?
You wanna just shoot me an email, that'd be great. It's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Next we have Karen, teaching and learning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You have my report and I'm happy to answer any questions, but I also just wanted to add a couple things. And one is in the midst of all the stuff that's been going on, sometimes we get a lot of negative stuff. I just wanted to share a couple positive things that I think it's important, might not have to do directly with curriculum, but when we have students that are engaged and have voice, I think it does have directly to do with curriculum and instruction and assessment. And the last 2 days, today I got to watch the elementary school practice for their Christmas concert. And it was just a joy to be in the classroom, to be there and see the kids just engaged and happy, and all the teachers were in there. And so we miss the mark. Sometimes we forget those little things that are happening in the school. In the middle high school, I think Mr. Ponce and Mr. Barth have allowed this door decorating contest, which has, yesterday I walked into school and it's been a long time since I've walked in and have seen kids. They were laughing in the hallway. They were working together in teams. They were looking at other doors and making nice comments to each other. And it was just a really nice thing to see. So I just wanted to share two things that I think, I think Mr. Bogio started his report with some of the ways to look at things differently. And it's easy to not look at things that way. But I do think, as much as that might not be in my report, you know, it's just an indication of when you have engaged kids, how I think behaviors change, and in turn, learning can be deepened. So I just wanted to share that. And I also wanted to personally thank Mr. Woolridge for his time here and his support with all of us in the last 7 years. Has it been 7 years? Yeah.
Thank you.
So I appreciate what he's done for us. So, and there's my report. I didn't mean to make that picture quite so big over that thing in there, but that's okay. I guess I was really excited about that.
Short, non-impressive, Karen, you need a better camera.
Yeah.
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 I did. Sorry, I did, when I printed it, I thought, whoa, that came out really, but yeah, so it is the tall 3D printer, but Mr. Hughes and Mr. Bickford and Mr. Azaro went to the Future Learning Pathways group that we're part of and we had to bring an artifact of how we spent some of our money on grant, and they brought the vase that you see there to show to about 100 and I don't know how many people, and it was really nice to be able to say that we had this was a donation to us. You know, other schools were like, wow, donated so that was really nice too. So
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Karen? I will say, we had a couple of the interim superintendent interviews in that room. And
Oh,
people
oh,
were
oh,
very
yeah.
impressed
Yeah,
by that,
amazing.
the printer, they all commented on it, so.
That machine math class is just a really nice part of our program of studies. I think it's making a big difference for our kids. Hopefully that pathway will grow.
Great, thank you. So technology, Justin isn't here. Do we have any questions for Justin? I had heard earlier that he would answer questions via email or whatnot if we have questions, yeah. Any questions for Justin? No? Thank you, Justin. Principal reports. Joe.
First, thank Madam Chair, we have the report and I can answer any questions. I did include the, map breakdown with the full data now. And also a little bit of analysis of the students who performed proficient on the Hampshire State testing last spring. You had a fit on the map. And then some predictions to be derived from that information about. Right now, we took the test, where would we be? And it's a little bit of an improvement from the 17% and 20% that we're at right now.
Any questions for Joe? And I just want to add, because Karen mentioned about the concert, so it's Monday, right?
Yes, that's right. Monday evening at 6:30 in the high school. Yeah.
Yeah, 6:30 in the high school then. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, John?
So, I mean, you've heard about our data that we gave. And I think this next piece, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at it in my report, the student wellness study. I think it, right, and I've talked to this Amanda trainer, but I wanted to get your feedback and your willingness, because I know surveys become touchy in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And what I like about this survey, again, if you've had really a chance, it's not like the YRBS survey, which can be pretty invasive, very personal.
Yeah.
This to me looks at school climate. It can be done by on paper, it can be done on computer. We will get the results back. And again, parents can opt out of it, so they don't have to. You've seen their recommended letters to parents. But looking again at this survey, it's not very long. Amanda said it would take 25 to 30 minutes. Unlike the YRDS, with my previous experiences, took 45 minutes to an hour at least.
Yeah.
So I just would like to hear your feedback, and if it could go ahead, because we would like to look at administering it in early January. And again, I think it's time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, this is great. What's your feedback? Any questions?
If they want to do a survey, they can.
Yeah.
Hope they'll get some honest answers, but.
No, and I appreciate you bringing to us, because
Yeah.
you're right, with surveys, especially the YRBS, that would have a lot of,
Yeah, YRBS is great, but it's very,
well, but,
very different. It's very,
and then,
it's not like,
exactly,
you said, invasive, because that's kind of what it is.
yeah, and we'd hear from parents about it, and even at the higher level in the state.
Did we used to?
I don't know if we did necessarily, but I remember the state talking about it, or maybe it was just the commissioner.
Maybe.
spinning
I mean,
it.
I don't ever remember having a problem with it years and years and years ago.
No, but I do know, like what you said in New Hampshire, because I know there's a big blow up about it, maybe 2 years ago.
Different communities
Yeah.
where, and I was a part of them where they said, we're not doing this survey right now.
Yeah,
And so.
yeah, because HCC used to do
But
it.
anyway.
What do you,
that's
what do you
I'm saying, yeah.
determine as a successful response rate for a survey like this? What are they saying to anticipate?
Well, ideally, if you get 80%
80%?
participation, that's a really good number. So hopefully we can get that number. We would do it in advisory. And then get the results back and present it out to you folks and to our staff, and then hopefully to the community, one way or the other. Here's the results, and here's our action plan.
Yeah,
We've got to be transparent with it.
so do we need, what do you think, to approve a
Probably
motion?
would want, motion to, and not do I don't think we've done the YRBS since COVID.
We did it last year.
Oh, we did. We haven't seen the results.
I don't remember seeing the results, but I know that I was on the phone with the guy at one of my son's appointments, talking to him, organizing, getting all that information in place. So we did do it last year. Okay.
So this survey would be less onerous, less
Yeah.
risky, and it's not as. And I get the issue with the YRBS stuff, but, so I would be in favor of recommending this if the board can approve it.
Okay. So you're seeing the motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? Okay, and I know Community Connections back and forth over the last few years, we've talked about doing some kind of a survey with staff about climate. I don't know if like a Survey Monkey, maybe we could do it the
We
same.
did one.
I don't think we ever did it. Well, like several years, were you, was it?
No?
We did one, I remember big
I
one
was
with
on
Karen,
one I was on
Karen
the
Craig,
board.
but Karen Craig was here, so that was a while ago though.
Yeah, I was on the board. We did a huge one. with
Yeah.
Staff.
Yeah, and but things are like way.
Yeah, it was weighted.
So I'm thinking like even a Survey Monkey, because that one was, we had paper, because some people wanted paper, some anyone anonymous. If we just do a Survey Monkey, to April and I, and that's anonymous. So maybe we could work on that. What do you guys think about doing concurrently, kind of doing it? And it would be less questions, but just, because I think we got a lot of feedback, which, is good, the search committee is gonna look at, but a lot of feedback from about that sort of thing.
Maybe it's different. I know we did something with the staff, Joe back me up here. We did something
I don't
on it last year.
I was making a note with myself to look through the minutes, but I can't recall.
I remember Karen saying, but if Gina was on the board, that
It
means
might have been
you
a
weren't on the
COVID
board.
related survey or something. May
It might-
not have been an overreaching one like this. We did some sort of survey and it may have been related to COVID protocols or how you take the
Yes,
field or
yes,
whatever.
yes.
But I know we did a staff survey. We were
We-
disappointed about the response.
We did, yes, we did about, we want to come back.
Yeah, we
The
did
building
some kind of a
within that,
staff.
yes,
yeah,
that's
some
what
kind of
you're-
staff survey.
You are right, yes, but the big climate one was with Karen Craig, yeah.
There was just like.
Oh, stacks
Mountain.
and mountains, yeah, yeah.
I think we should do one. I don't want to take away from what they want to do with this. I would almost rather have them do
Wait.
theirs and then wait
Yeah.
and then do ours. Do you know what I mean? And maybe something that they're finding might inform some of the questions that we asked. You know what I mean? I'd like to see them do theirs
okay.
and then do ours.
It may have came from breaking ranks back in the day with National Association of Secondary School Principals.
Oh, no, I don't.
Breaking Ranks had a lot of different surveys, administrator surveys, parent surveys, staff surveys, and it gave the culture of the schools.
Oh, wow,
Um,
no, it wasn't
that
that,
was a while ago.
yeah, no, it wasn't that, because we had a
That's
meeting and we
before-
came up with the questions ourselves, which was
Okay.
painful. So,
So
Yeah.
I'll look to see what else is out there.
okay,
NES may have stuff also,
Okay,
they would
cool.
have stuff, so I
yeah.
will take a look.
That would be, good. Yeah, that would be for the staff. So yeah, so that's a good point. See what, so we can decide in January, but you can, get rolling with this and then the staff will be a step. But I think it's important to hear from both groups.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yep.
yeah. All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
It feels good to be like having some solid concrete plans, there's just been so much going on lately that I think it feels good to be moving in a good
Forward.
solid direction, yeah. All right, for the last time ever.
Oh, hold on, I have a quick
Oh,
question.
sorry, not
That's
yet.
John, you were gonna come back to us about the telephone, about the phones.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
for the January, yeah.
January, okay,
Yeah. Sorry.
that's all right. I just wanted to bring that up because I knew we talked about it, but I forgot that was.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Ready to just put that on the agenda, then, yep.
All right, now Wayne, it's your last time ever.
Yeah, Madam Chair, you have I think it's my 70th report,
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Makes sense, yeah.
and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Wayne?
I have a comment in that I very much appreciate how eloquently your opening statement was in
agreed.
your report. Thank you very much for that.
Yes. And I believe, that's similar, that's what the teachers heard at the meetings that you communicated to them, so. And Paris.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else have a question or comment for Wayne?
You sure you don't want to stay?
Pretty sure I know the answer.
Just kidding. I had to
I
ask.
think you're gonna like.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We'll give you cake at every meeting. We have a cake budget now.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah, thank you, Wayne. You gotta admit, that sometimes these other meetings are kind of fun.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
Alrighty, committee reports, personnel,
No meeting.
health and wellness.
Well, there's been an email running around about.
And
scheduling
then
what
they
the-
like canceled it,
And I
right? Did
can't-
you see that? That's why they canceled it. Maybe you missed the cancel, they
I
sent it, they
missed
canceled,
that.
yeah, they sent it and they canceled it, so.
Okay. As far as I know, we do not have a meeting scheduled.
Mhm. Finance and budget,
We're moving forward and we have a meeting set hopefully for January.
yep, thank you. Staff development,
No, we haven't had a meeting.
okay.
Or
Legis-
did you have one without me?
No,
never mind.
they got canceled, right?
We had one.
We had one. Did I not make it to that
You were
one?
there. No, you weren't.
I was there.
I'm sorry.
I already had it, but I was there.
We did have one.
Okay,
Yes, I don't remember the
I was
exact
gonna
date.
say.
I can't remember either.
We talked about,
thank you,
we
sorry.
looked at the results of the staff development, the staff, professional development survey.
Mm.
And talked about.
Another survey that I was
Yeah.
remembering. I
That-
knew there was another
That's
survey.
right, there was one that you looked at there,
Oh,
and then we
did-
talked about, calendars and adding some time to the calendar when we bring a calendar
Yeah.
forward for, early release days perhaps, and the
For
importance
PD.
or not importance of that. That was discussed at it, so yes.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's okay.
No, you have a lot. April is the main budget rep now, so you know. Whatever April wants. April gets.
Please don't.
Okay, thank you. Legislation NHSBA, I just had one thing, NHSBA, their legislative review webinar, is on January 6th. So if you guys get that email, if you're able to do it, that's always a good webinar. It gives them a rundown of all the things that are coming up in legislation for this coming, in January and going forward. And then I'm gonna be going to a conference in Savannah, Georgia for that board in January, so. But it doesn't conflict with any of our stuff, but that's gonna be fun.
Mhm.
Anyway. All right, so HASP, probably nothing, right?
No, we haven't met since last time.
Okay, selectmen,
I think we're all updated on that.
Yeah.
exactly. Facilities,
No meeting.
community connections. Send us positive content to put on community connections. We've been kind of stealing stuff from
I
Maria.
posted about the
Twitter.
game boards today.
Yeah.
That was posted on the Twitter account.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, I think the door decorating thing would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I
So
took some,
take something
I took
down.
some pictures today to say it was getting started.
That's great. I mean, that's a
Okay,
positive.
cool.
They're not done yet, yes, I'd wait
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yes,
Get-
yeah, send us some pictures, like you
Yeah.
can send them to Maria and she can send them to us,
That would be great.
yeah, awesome. All right, behavioral support team,
So I wasn't at the last meeting. Sean went in my place. I don't know if there's another meeting set up.
There is
Did we
right now.
did we set another meeting?
No, I think we were waiting to have this meeting and we want to set the date or at least a few dates for that.
joint loss,
I haven't been told that there's a meeting yet, so I don't know. I heard nothing.
Who's the
I think the issue is that the faculty chair of that meeting was Brad Bettis.
yeah, it was
Right.
bad, yeah.
And I don't know if anybody has replaced it
Please, Tim.
or
Okay.
stepped up.
I think like legally, we have to have them so many times a year, right?
Yeah, it's 4 times a year.
4 times a year, I think we have to, yeah.
So do we need to reach out to see if somebody wants to be that person?
I can put out an email, see if we have any volunteers at the high school level.
Yeah, cause we need X many
Yeah.
from labor and X many from management, right?
It has to be a.
Yeah, if I can get those
Yeah.
fillers, I can put out an email or put out an email tomorrow. I can, yeah, either way, yeah, I'll do it.
Right.
Or I just need to know.
I
the
don't know how
numbers.
many. Yeah, I don't know if you have it, I don't know if it's in a policy or if you just know how it, we'll
So-
look it up.
I don't know, Jody, if
Jody?
you have that, you know, the expectation as far as Primex is concerned that we have these in the regular intervals that are prescribed, and we have to have the representation that's prescribed, and if we don't work, there's some exposure.
Yeah,
I only made it to one meeting and that was their last meeting for last year, so I don't,
yeah, I wanna say
I'm
it's
not
quarterly.
privy to
I
the,
wanna say
how
it's
it works.
quarterly, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but there was I think an issue last year with the uptick in COVID, because I think we did 2 or 3 really close together at the end of last year.
Because I remember talking about, oh man, we gotta get 4 in this year and we gotta,
Yeah,
right. But I do think there's an important mix of many members that
Right.
has to be met.
yeah, like half and half or
I
something.
wanna
would
say
think so,
something like
wouldn't
3 or 4 from each building, teacher level, I think 2 administrators.
And a board member has to be on it.
And a board.
But yeah, I mean, I think it has to be an even mix, cause right, of management and labor.
Yeah.
And we count it, the board member counts as management, I think, right? Okay, I think so.
So Maria, we can probably find those records if you're, next week, we'll go through and look, make sure we get everything out to the board and get that going in January if possible.
Great, thank you. All right, citizen comments. We have a couple outlined there.
Donna, do you have any comments?
I'd just like to thank Mr. Woolridge for everything he's done for the district in his tenure here. It's very much appreciated. And that's it.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Donna.
Donna.
Patty, do you have any comments?
No, I'm all set. And thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, Patty. And iPhone, do you have any comments? Okay,
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so we do have a non-public, so I just need a motion to go into non-public.
Motion to go into non-public.
Second,
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Who do we need, Wayne?
Jody,